So you may have heard that using the pen tool is scary. Well, and it is a little bit. But the good news is that it's only scary because it takes a while to get the feel for it. You just need to know a couple of basic things, and then all you need is some practice, and before long you'll be pretty good with it. The nice thing about the pen tool is that not only can you use it here in Illustrator to great effect, but you can use it in Photoshop. You can use it in InDesign. You'll find the pen tool in all kinds of places. So this is a handout that you can retrieve from Titanium, and I'm going to walk you through how you use the pen tool to do these exercises. I'm not going to go through them completely, every single click and drag, but I will go through most of it until I'm pretty sure you kind of get what I'm talking about. So I am going to zoom in on this so you can see it a little easier, and I can see a little better when I'm drawing. And this one at the top here is how to create straight line segments. Now you notice I've included notes kind of all the way through this, so these notes in combination with this video should give you all the information you need. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is go over here to where my properties window is, and you'll notice right next to the properties window is a tab for layers. So I'm going to click on that. We'll talk about layers in a later video, but for right now notice that this file has two layers. The bottom one is the template. So please click on the top layer called Draw Here and just make sure that's active, has that dark blue background. Then I'm going to go back to the properties window because we'll be needing to use that a little bit. Next I'm going to grab my pen tool. So the pen tool is third one down on the left. And then before we draw anything, I would like to set the attributes for what this pen tool is going to draw with. So notice now that it has a fill of white and a stroke of black. You can see that at the bottom of the tool window. You can also see it over here in the properties window. So all the paths we're going to be doing today are open paths, meaning they have two endpoints. So we don't want to use a fill on an open path. So I'm going to click on that little square right here at the top, and instead of white, I'm going to make it be none. And then close that. And then for the stroke, I do want a black stroke. If your Illustrator doesn't have a stroke at this point, you can click on that and then just choose black from down here, or from the swatches window, which is right here. But I'm all set with black. And then the stroke thickness is right here. So mine is currently 1 point, which is the default. I'm just going to click on the up arrow one time to make it a little bit thicker so it's easier to see. So at this point, when we start working with the pen tool, these are the attributes our line is going to have. And so I'm just going to go through a few clicks on here. This is the easiest exercise, but I'm going to go right here to this orange dot next to begin. And straight line segments are a breeze. You can be really good at this right away because all you have to do is click wherever you want a corner point. And so I'm going to click right here on that first orange dot. I'm going to pull up to the next dot, and you'll notice that when you pull your pen tool up, you kind of get this, I call it a rubber band thing, but you kind of get a preview of where your line is going to go if you click at any particular point. So I'm going to go to dot number 2, and then just continue to work around. Now these are horizontal and vertical line segments, and if you remember from talking about the constraining key, the shift key, that means that if you hold that, that will constrain that line to a perfect horizontal. So I'm going to hold the shift key and click, or to a perfect vertical. And again, I'm holding the shift key and just clicking. And so anytime you need to make perfectly straight and perpendicular lines, you can hold the shift key and that will guarantee you're drawing it absolutely straight. Okay, I'm not holding the shift key anymore, and I'm going to pull down here and just kind of click through the whole exercise. So I'm going to stop here. I think you got that. Now you'll notice the pen tool wants to keep going. So the way to get rid of that is just to go up and click on the pen tool again, or really any tool, and that will turn off the path. And now you have this path, which I can get with my black arrow tool. I can click on it and I can move it around. All right, so path number 1. Let me undo that to get that back in position. So now I'm just going to move down on the page a little bit here. And this is where the pen tool gets a little more intimidating with curve paths. Again, it's hard at first because you've never done it before and it just takes a little bit of a feel. But drawing curves are a two-step process. If you remember from an earlier video, straight line segments are nothing more than points that are connected by straight line segments. Easy. But curves, you need to give the computer a little bit more information. And so you're going to have your point, your vector point, but you also need to have those handles that determine the shape, size, and direction of the curve. So I'm going to get my pen tool again. And then I'm going to start here right on point 1. So you'll notice it says click and drag down to point 2 while holding the shift key. And so this is a case where we're not constraining the segment, we're constraining the handle that is drawing the segment. And so I'm going to click on that first point and then drag down while holding the shift key. And that will draw the handles in an absolutely straight line. Okay, then I let go of both the mouse and the key, and then I go over to point 3 here, click and hold and drag, and then press the shift key down. And it doesn't matter when you press the shift key down, as long as you press it down before you let go of the mouse button. And that will constrain those handles to perfectly vertical straight lines. Okay, so again, pretty easy. In fact, I'll go ahead and finish this one. Boom. And now I can get rid of this stupid rubber band line by clicking on my pen tool. And then I can get my black arrow tool, and there is your path. If you want to see what your paths look like without the template, just go back to the Layers panel and just click on this little square over to the left underneath the eyeball. And that will toggle the visibility of the template on and off, and you can see the beauty that you have wrought. Okay, so let me turn the template back on. And then this last one here is the trickiest one, because this combines curve paths and straight line segments. Okay, so let me just get that up so you can see it all. All right, so you'll see I've given you notes kind of all through this. And this will be the good one to practice on. So if you come back and do these exercises a few more times, I'd probably focus on these two, and especially this one, and you will start to figure it out. Okay, so pen tool, number 1, I'm going to click and drag, and then come over to point 2. Again, I'm going to click and drag, and let go of the mouse again. Down to point 3, click and drag. That was pretty easy, but now we have something a little trickier. We want to go from a curve to a straight line segment. Now you'll notice that if I just come over here to point 4, I get a real wackadoodle line because it's connecting a curve into a curve. Well, what I need to do is stop the curve right there and start a straight line segment. So the way to tell the computer that's what you want to do is you just have to click on that last point. And that will keep the curve right here, but the next thing you draw is now going to be a straight line segment. And again, if you want it to be perfectly straight, hold the shift key. And so these are just a couple of straight line segments, easy. But now we have the opposite situation. We have a curve coming out of a straight line segment. So again, if I just pull my line, I'm just getting another straight line. So I want to make the part after that point be a curve. So I come to that point and I just click and drag. And that will make this side of the point be a curve. And so that is all you need to do. So here we are, curve. We want to go back to straight line segment. So I'm going to click on that point and then pull up to the next one and click. Now I want to go back into a curve point again. So I need to drag from that point to create a curve on that side of the point. And we are just about there, last curve. And then finally, I just want to make this last little straight line segment. So I click, and then I go click on my pen tool, and there is my finished shape. So, of course, this is going to be pretty easy for you once you get the handle handle, get it? Because I've given you all the guidelines and everything to draw to. Where it does get tricky is when you have to draw a path yourself from scratch and you don't have any reference. But get this down first, get the feel for it, and then you can start practicing on drawing paths where you don't have this reference and see how close you can get to the shape you want to get to. All right, so good luck. Practice well, my friends.
Whatever.